Penguin Random House Audio presents The Dissonance, a novel by Shaun Hamill. Read for you by Soneela Nankani. For Sergio. And then, an imperceptible flaw is discovered in a hitherto immaculate perfection. A flaw that is everything perfection is not. Grant Morrison, Multiversity. 2019. Tremors. Hal. 21 years after killing his mother, and 1 year after killing a man in a bar fight, Hal Isaac stands on the steps of St. Matthew's Catholic Church in Vandergrift, Texas, and smokes a cigarette. His AA meeting has just let out. The sun has set, but the day's heat remains like a physical force pushing down on his body, juicing him for sweat. He could hop into his car and crank the AC, but he always gets a headache during meetings, and a cigarette grants his mind a few minutes to unfurl. It's the main reason he took up the habit. Cigarettes give you a chance to press pause on life. He's not the only one who feels this way. Probably 2/3 of the meeting linger on and around the steps, clumped in groups of 2s and 3s, their tendrils of smoke rising into the oppressive air. Hal doesn't stand with the others, but he appreciates their presence. They're a buffer between him and loneliness. Their chatter washes over him while he studies the expensive-looking houses across the street. Do the upper-middle-class occupants look out their windows at this time of night? What do they think of the tableau of fuck-ups on the church steps? Hey. He hadn't noticed the woman approach. Susie, a new face, been coming for a few weeks, since social services took her kid. Hey, Hal says around his cigarette. Congrats. She nods to the chip in his left hand, the one they gave him at the end of tonight's meeting. He's been twirling it between his fingers like a close-up magician ever since. He stops and lets the aluminum circle fall into his open palm. It's the gaudy blue you'd expect to see tossed from a Mardi Gras float, except for the triangle etched around a big Roman numeral 1. 1 year, she says. There are days when I think I'll be lucky to make it to 6 weeks. 1 day at a time. AA's full of these little cliches. It takes as long as it takes. It works if you work it. In his old life, Hal, a Jew, if not a very good one, would have rolled his eyes at the pure, waspy Christianity/motivational poster of it all. Now these trite aphorisms hold his sanity together. Susie pulls a pack of cigarettes from her purse. She slaps it on her palm a few times before pulling off the cellophane. I forgot my lighter, she says. Help me out? Hal gives her his full attention for the first time. She's lying about the lighter. She wanted an excuse to talk to him. Hal's always been able to find company like this when he wants. Jealous friends have called it his superpower. Hal, who knows what an actual superpower looks like, thinks of it as an accident of personality. He's good at reading people is all. AA says you're not supposed to start new relationships during the first year of sobriety. And hooking up with a fellow alcoholic? That's a double no-no. But Susie is pretty, and she seems nice, and Hal is feeling low tonight. His lawyer called earlier today to set up a meeting for tomorrow. Insisted they talk in person. That can only mean big news. Likely bad news. So Hal lets this conversation with Susie play out a little further. Want to see a magic trick? He asks. Susie spreads her hand in a by all means gesture. He closes his eyes and pushes past all the worry and anxiety to that deep place in his center that he never visits anymore. He makes an exception tonight because he wants to delight this sad, pretty woman. There's nothing in the Blue Book that forbids making a pretty woman smile. He strikes his mind against the spark of pain in his middle. Light flashes behind his eyelids, and he opens them in time to watch Susie's cigarette light itself without visible assistance. This little show is the extent of what he can do these days. He doesn't understand why he has this talent. It isn't one he had as a kid, when he could do far more impressive things. "Ta-da," he says. Susie pulls the cigarette from her mouth and looks like she might drop it, or maybe throw it at him. She's not charmed. She's freaked out. She jerks a thumb toward the parking lot, where no cars have arrived for several minutes. "My ride is here. I better go." "Sure thing," he says. "But congrats on your 1 year, and thanks for the reminder. One day at a time." He raises a hand in farewell as she speed-walks away from him. She drops her cigarette, its cherry winking orange on the pavement. He follows her far enough to stamp out the fire and pick up the butt. He frowns at it, and it bursts like a trick cigar in a cartoon. Tobacco and paper waft through the sticky air down toward the lawn. Hal looks around, but everyone else seems busy with their own thoughts and preoccupations and conversations. He decides his mind is as clear as it's going to get tonight. He drives home to his studio apartment and tries, mostly unsuccessfully, to sleep. He rises logy and miserable the next morning and considers calling in sick to work, but his meeting with his lawyer isn't until the afternoon, and he needs a distraction until then. Also, he needs every penny for his stack of overdue bills and attorney fees. He showers and goes to the auto finance company where he works. He answers emails and phone calls from customers hoping to reschedule their car payments. Everyone he talks to seems to have prepared a speech, a justification for why they should be allowed to skip this month's payment, or at least be given an extra week to get the money together. Customers think they have to convince Hal, but the truth is that every one of this company's customers is allowed to rearrange their payment date as often as they'd like. And everyone is also allowed a certain number of skipped payments before the repo men are unleashed. This latter number is based on an algorithm, the unholy union of payment history with the company and overall credit score. Hal's job is mostly to put a human face in front of the algorithm to create the illusion that the company cares about its customers. There is one decision he gets to make every time he answers a phone call or email. He gets to decide how friendly he wants to be. For example, around 11 a.m., Hal gets a call from a man who wants his APR adjusted. Normally, Hal would sympathize. He's never been great with money himself, and has often bitten off more than he can financially chew. But this fucking guy. "You need to lower my APR," the man says. It's the voice of someone used to issuing orders and being obeyed. "It's too high." Hal's voice remains placid, pleasant. "That's not a service we offer. I can help arrange your payment schedule." "Are you deaf? I don't need to change my payment date. I need to change the amount you're gouging me every month." Most people's hackles would rise at this tone. Hal's seen it happen with his coworkers. Hal, on the other hand, settles back into his chair and smiles. Call it another superpower, or accident of personality. "Sir, I would remind you that you took out an auto loan with a subprime lending company," he says. "Excuse me?" "You came to us because you needed to clean up your credit," Hal says. "That's an extra risk to us, and an extra risk comes with an extra cost." "Now listen," the man says.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?